Hey everyone, back with my desktop slash workstation build. I'm going to put the Corsair RM850 power supply in. I got this guy cleaned up and a little bit of the dust taken out and stuff. I know it was kind of nasty before, but I've got the power supply ready to put in. I'm just going to put the power supply in and I'll wire it up as the last thing I'm going to do pretty much. I might run the 24 pin and the EPS connector first actually, because those are a bit harder, but I'll worry about the hard drives and stuff later. So I'm going to throw this guy in. Got the GPU ready to put in as well, and we're going to have to figure out the mounting for the water cooling for the GPU. So here we've got the RM850. I'm going to put it, we're going to put it fan side down, just like it was in the last build. I just recently repasted the CPU. I was thinking about that between the last video and this one. I was thinking whether it needs to be done or not, but I think I just did it about 2 months ago. I'm not super concerned about it, but I'll check temps and stuff, of course, once I get this up and running. Alright, so power supply's in. And now we just need the 24 pin. I'm going to do motherboard side first. The way I had it routed in the last one, kind of went underneath the radiator. Actually, I might not be able to do that. I can't shove it against the bottom of the case because we have the SATA connectors right here, which are angled, and they're going to come out. So I think it's probably a good idea if I run those SATA cables right now. Let's see if okay, so the red ones are SATA 6, black are SATA 3. It's a weird configuration. It has 7 SATA. Interesting. Oh, it has 7 SATA because it has 1 eSATA. So it looks like 8 SATA total. So we're going to run 2 of these. I might have made this really hard on myself actually. Putting the radiator in first. Maybe I can pre-bend these SATAs a little bit. No, I'm going to need to remove the radiator. Better to do things the right way. Take the front panel off while we're at it. What I think we should do actually, I was looking at the configuration for the other one. We can put the tubing so that it's this. And that should give us more room for the SATA cables actually. So we'll do it like that. But we'll still get the SATA cables in right now. Funny thing about that is that we can't run the GPU there if we mount it in that direction. So the question is, should we leave the CPU like that and then just run the GPU to the back? Kind of like the idea of both of them in the front and then just exhausting out that way, but let's run these cables and make sure that, we'll see if it has enough room for the radiator once these cables are plugged in. I really wish this board didn't have right angle ports. Kind of unfortunate. It really makes things a lot harder. Run a red one for our SSD just so I know which one it is. I think just because of the SATA ports, we're going to have to put the GPU in the back and then the CPU in the front. It's pretty annoying actually. I don't know if you can see that, but just the way that these cables are angled, I don't see there being enough room for that radiator to go over them. I'll try. No, it's going to put too much strain on the cables. So we'll put the radiator this way, which kind of sucks. Now it should be relatively easy to mount the rest of the hardware since we have that one all done up. Get the SATA cables out of the way. Plug this HD audio back in. Plug in the 24-pin ATX. Alright, I think we're ready for the GPU now. Really not a lot of room for things in this case, but everything will fit. Just gotta make it work. GPU's in. There's just minimal clearance between that radiator and the GPU. So I don't think the radiator would have fit with the GPU anyway in the other orientation. So it's not a big deal, but we'll get it to work. Plug this fan in first before we get too far ahead of ourselves here. They want you to have the tank at the bottom like this, but I don't think it's gonna work. The tubes are gonna bunch up too much. Alrighty, So looks like we need to do EPS connector. Probably should have done this before. That's okay. It's at the very top of the motherboard, of course, so it's not the easiest thing to get to. The one that's behind the tubes. That wasn't too bad. All that's left are the PCI Express for the GPU and SATA for the hard drives. So with the PCI Express for the GPU, we've got two 6+2s. And honestly, I don't know if it makes a huge difference or not, but this one requires an 8 and a 6. So what I'm going to do, I'm going to run the 8 off of the main one before it splits off, and then run the 6 off of the splitter part. Try to hide the excess wire back behind the hard drive cage, and need our SATA wire. And I can go in any of these down the bottom. I don't plan on moving this guy around a lot, so I'm just going to screw the hard drives in from this side only. So since the power for the hard drive is on the far side away from us, we're going to put that in first. And I'm going to run the wire, the extra cable underneath the hard drive so there's a little bit of space. Then we'll have power to the first one. power to the second one. Then the Samsung 850 Evo. Run power to it as well. That guy's just going to sit on top. Like I said, there's no moving parts for solid state. It's not going to hurt anything. It's just going to kind of sit there. I'm going to run these SATA cables hopefully underneath as well. This red one I'll run sort of behind and underneath the solid state. Plug that guy in. Honestly, the cable management's not like the best, and I'm not spending a whole lot of time on it, but I think it looks pretty good. Looks good enough. Hide some more of this one. There we go. So yeah, that's about it. I already had this case wired, front panel and stuff like that. And see, the power supply's hooked up. We got the EPS connector, 24 pin graphics card. We did forget the Elgato, so we'll put that in. That really only leaves us one PCI Express slot. So overall, I think it turned out pretty well. I don't think that there's enough room up here for fans, especially with this tubing, and we're about neutral on airflow right now. So we have 2 intake fans in the front, and then we have 1 exhaust for the Corsair H55 for the CPU, and then there's also 1 exhaust in the rear here, and of course the power supply exhausts too, but it's pulling air from the bottom of the case. So that's not affecting the case airflow at all. I'm going to get this guy up and running, boot it, and see how it goes. And I don't know if I'm going to stick with it or not, but I think we should be able to use this as our primary rendering workstation and stuff like that. So I'll let you know how it goes. And if you have any questions about the build or anything I did in here, or any comments or criticisms, please feel free to comment down below. And I'll see you guys next time. Hopefully you enjoyed this video. I know it's a little bit different and kind of unstructured and stuff like that. So yeah, just let me know. I'll talk to you guys next time. Peace.